Hundreds more cancer patients will now get the help they need. We revealed the new drugs funded by Pharmac.
The end of 14 years of Conservatives. The UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has conceded defeat in a landslide victory for Labour.
We say haere rā. It's Newshub's last day on air, and after copping one last bombshell, we take a look back on more than 3 decades.
And the new All Blacks captain is known as Dog Roll, and he'll be hoping he's not looking like Dog Tucker after the first test.
Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. Hundreds of cancer patients could be set to benefit from the first drugs funded out of the government's recent boost for Pharmac. The drug buying agency has announced that pending consultation, Keytruda will be the first drug funded from October 1st. It'll be used to treat advanced triple-negative breast cancer, head and neck cancer, colorectal cancer, bladder cancer, and also Hodgkin's lymphoma, while Opdivo will be funded for kidney cancer from November. Here's our political editor, Jenna Lynch, with the story.
Kia ora, Jenna. Keytruda is a major one, but what's left in the process to actually get funded?
So Pharmac is having a short, sharp consultation period, but the fact that they have put dates on these means there is very little chance they are going to renege on that, particularly with the politically fraught debate around cancer drugs. Of the 6 cancer treatments announced today, 2 are on the list of that 13 that National promised during the election. Now, the reason that we have that other 4 is because of the way that they fixed their broken promise. From what I understand, Pharmac was telling the government after the budget that it would not be able to fund any more drugs this year. The way that they fixed that up, pumping $600 million into Pharmac, means that we're getting the 13 and more. So it is a massive deal. It shows what can be done in the medicine space if you do have the political willpower. It's backed by some major cash.
Awesome stuff, Jenna. Thank you so much. The Labour Party has won the UK election by a landslide. Sir Keir Starmer's centre-left party will return to power with a huge majority after 14 years of right-wing government under the Conservatives.
Meanwhile, controversial right-wing politician Nigel Farage from Reform UK is now a Member of Parliament, breaking through on his 8th attempt. Europe correspondent Lisette Reymer has more.
Some Brits have waited.
And I take responsibility for the loss.
Sir Keir Starmer's move into Downing Street has been viewed by most as a foregone conclusion. The change in power has appeared inevitable for months, if not years. Today's result was so predictable, I was able to confidently film this weeks in advance before flying home to New Zealand.
A former chief prosecutor and human rights lawyer, the 61-year-old only entered Parliament in 2015. Now he's ready to form a government.
You have voted. It is now time for us.
The family said words cannot describe their sadness as they try to come to terms with the loss of a mother, a wife and a friend. Zane Small, Newshub.
Well, today marks the end of 35 years of this news organisation.
The operation that was 3 National News, then 3 News, and now Newshub has been disestablished by our American owner, Warner Brothers Discovery. Nearly
300 jobs have now gone, with many still out of work. Juliet Speedy reports.
The first in a day of lasts. TV3's last ever AM show. Long-time TV3 staff Melissa Chan Green and Lloyd Burr on air for the last time.
You're the best, Mel. So I'm gutted. I've spent my whole professional life here, building this place up, wanting it to be a success, and to see it fall apart like this. Great to have you with us.
This show also hosted many of the network's veteran journalists for their final time on air.
How are you feeling?
Oh,
I'm just so grateful, and it's been the best, wildest ride, and I won't regret any of it.
I think for me a huge part of it is just being grateful. Like, there's so much history in this place and so many incredible people that have been part of it.
One by one, staff arrived at the infamous former cheese factory on Flower Street. for their last shift.
I've turned up like it's any other ordinary day, except it's just not another ordinary day. When I walked through the doors, I just thought, I've walked in those doors for 21 years.
A sad day made worse for Paddy Gower and his team, finding out this morning about a decision from New Zealand On Air.
Yeah, we'd been hopeful that Paddy Gower Has Issues would be funded and some people from here would be working on it. New Zealand On Air has been unable to do that, they're not funding it.
Gower, like many here, is still looking for work in what's become a perilous industry in New Zealand. And now 35 years of one of the country's biggest media organisations ends today at 7 p.m.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what the lead is at this point, but yeah.
Are we the lead?
Part of the fun. No. Well, not at this point. I would like to think we'd get something, else other than us.
The bureaus in Christchurch and Wellington now packed up. The light's gone out for good, with all staff flying north for the final show.
From all of us here in New Zealand to the Newshub Sport, we wish every single one of you the best wishes for the future ahead.
I grew up at TV3. I was 19 when I started. I'm 54 now.
Christchurch camera operator Waz Armstrong's been with the company full-time since day one.
I can't really put it into words how amazing it's been. For a young Māori boy from Taharoa.
There are a handful of day oneers still here. And the end of TV careers for many, like Mike McRoberts. 23 years on the job ends tonight. And Sam Hayes, who did shifts as an intern at just 17.
My motto today, no tears until 7 o'clock, okay? It's not helping that you're crying too. It's really not helping.
The Newshub team have told hundreds of thousands of stories, often in a war of words with politicians. But today, the words were kind.
But I frankly think that Newshub has done a better job at night on 6 o'clock news than TV1, this heavily subscribed taxpayer-funded outlet. And I'm sorry to see them go.
And I just want to say thanks to all the Newshubbers for all the work that they've done and for the contribution they've made to New Zealand over many, many years, and I wish them all the very best.
Just want to wish everyone all the best. One of the saddest days in the history of New Zealand broadcasting.
A broadcaster that, in a matter of hours, will be yesterday's news.
Well, kia ora, Juliet. We're still today's news. How's Newshub marking the end of this news operation?
Well, Mike, they often say news is hard to plan and prepare for, and we certainly didn't plan to be here delivering this news about ourselves. But we have had more than 4 months to prepare for this day, as that is when we got the news of these redundancies and this operation closing down. So there have already been a number of occasions to mark the end of this place, the decades of it and the people that have contributed to it. But tonight, Mike, as you know, the entire company is here at Flower Street watching this final bulletin go to air. And then we will go and have a wee knees up to celebrate what has been an incredible legacy here at Newshub, delivering New Zealand's stories, best and worst, and around the world. And Mike, we're all going to miss that a lot.
Beautiful, Juliet. Tēnā koe. Now, we're also going to look back at our 34 years of operation towards the end of the show, so our sport and weather is going to run a little earlier.
It's just moving up the show a little bit. Well, Heather is here now. You're keeping it together. You're doing well, Heather. Fantastic. How was the weather today?
I'm just not making eye contact.
OK, that's good. Good policy.
OK, that's good. It was cold, frosty, icy, one of the coldest days of the year. So severe frost for many, including Christchurch, who dropped to -4, but it was the coldest in Twizel with -7. Now, the first of 2 fronts have arrived over the deep south and they shimmy north over the next 24 hours. Details on those and the latest swell warning up next.
OK, thanks so much, Heather. Good strategy. Well, as pressure builds on Joe Biden to pull out of the presidential race, Donald Trump has well and truly put the boot into both Biden and his Vice President, Kamala Harris.
The government set targets for mental health, but people working in the sector are needing the services themselves.
And we're at Game Fest in Wellington, where the next big wave in Kiwi entertainment is being celebrated.
Hoki mai anō, welcome back. Police have just released CCTV images of a woman allegedly linked to an assault on an Auckland bus a week ago. They're seeking the public's help to identify the woman dressed all in black and carrying a suitcase. She boarded a bus on Pakuranga Road on the 28th of June before the assault at about 9:15 a.m. Earlier this week, the 16-year-old victim said he lost his 3 teeth after being hit in the face with a metal pole. His attacker said he'd used racial slurs. Police cannot say if it's a hate-related crime.
A police search is underway for a man who has been missing in the Wairarapa since Wednesday. Alexa Cook joins us now live with more on this. Alexa, what more do we know?
To be hired. Amelia Wade, Newshub.
Well, Sporters, next, a bit earlier tonight, as we've got something special planned for the end of the show. But I have to say, one of the great joys of this news hour for me is introducing the wonderful Andrew Gordy.
Wonderful. I'm used to another word starting with W, so I'll take that. Brilliant stuff. I will hear from Scott Barrett ahead of his first test as captain of the All Blacks. Plus, we chat one-on-one with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who offers a mid-season review on his return to the Warriors. And Sir Andy Murray bids an emotional farewell at the scene of his greatest triumph.
In celebration of games in all its forms, Games Festival in Wellington brings together the makers and the fans of what is now one of the country's biggest earners.
And saying a final farewell to nearly 35 years of TV3 News, we take a look back at all the biggest moments that we've been through together.
As he prepares for his first test in one of the most coveted and scrutinised roles in New Zealand sport, new All Blacks captain Scott Barrett admits he'll be leaning on those around him. While tomorrow night's test against England will be his first in charge of the team, it'll also be his first game in 2 months after injuries limited his involvement during the Super Rugby season. Our rugby reporter Ollie Ritchie has more.
Scott Barrett taking his brother by his side. Even this surly Scott managed some tears. Alex Chapman, Newshub.
Great stuff, Chappie. Now, that is it for your Newshub Sport. Now, I'm very aware that viewers are used to seeing someone else here on a Friday night, so I'm going to bring my old mate Nikki Styrus in here. She's been on the weekends. She's been on the AM show. This is the last leg of the farewell tour, I've got to say. It's like Super Sport Sunday all those years ago, isn't it? But we've had a lot of fun, haven't we, mate?
Oh, we have had so much fun. It's a day to celebrate. Yeah. It's also a day to be sad. But, you know, Andrew, I'm used to coming off the reserves bench. I've been doing this now for nearly a decade. You know, every now and again you'd get sick or you just wouldn't show up. So I'd get to come up to the starting lineup. And I like to think of myself as a bit of an impact player anyway. So
absolutely.
But on a serious note, it's been an absolute honour and privilege to share the sports news with you over this decade and bring the stories to the people out there. And I just hope from a personal point of view that I have been a positive role model for other wahine out there to be a strong force in sports journalism, because it's still a lad's world out there. We got this, girls. We got this.
Absolutely. No, and look, to echo that sentiment, feel very fortunate, very grateful to have been part of this incredible team, continuing a legacy that's been set by some incredible broadcasters, some incredible journalists. I've been very humbled to hear from some of them in the last few days. So thank you so much for everything you've done. Thank you all for watching. Ollie Ritchie's going to be bringing you sports news from now on. He is not only an elite operator, a 10 out of 10 bloke, he speaks great French as well, guys. I'm sure at some point, Mike and Sam, that is going to come in handy.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. They're both absolute champions.
We love you guys. And actually, sport's the hardest part of the whole bulletin. All of those tennis names.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we think too.
We're pros, Sam.
I want to be doing that.
And wonderful representatives of an incredible sports team. So thank you so much, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Okay. Like I said, no tears till 7 o'clock. So we're going to push on. We've got a little bit more to do.
Started already, hasn't it?
I know. We've got a little bit more to do before then. So while the TV industry has seen better days, who wrote this? New Zealand's other small screen sector is surging.
Game Fest is underway in Wellington, where game players and game makers celebrate the world's fastest growing entertainment industry. Tech reporter Finn Hogan has more.
From on screen, Finn Hogan, Newshub.
Okay, our top stories tonight. Pending a consultation, Keytruda will be the first new cancer drug funded by Pharmac from October the 1st. It'll be used to treat advanced triple-negative breast cancer, head and neck cancer, colorectal cancer, bladder cancer and Hodgkin lymphoma. Opdivo will be funded from November for kidney cancer.
And today marks the end of 35 years of this news organisation. Nearly 300 jobs have now gone at Newshub, with many still out of work. And we will be looking back at all the big stories we've covered just a little bit later on in the programme. But first, very important, Heather weather. What's coming up with the weekend?
It's a little windy to start, but then as we head into next week, the weather is excellent. High pressure for a very long time, but we do have large swells arriving late Sunday night with 5.5 metre southerly waves, resulting in an orange heavy swell warning for coastal Wairarapa through till early hours Tuesday morning. Your full weather is up.
Make the switch to a new Swift Hybrid and Newshub Sport.
Tomorrow's weather brought to you by nature. Turn it to power by Meridian.
No, Maya Arnold, welcome back for the last time. Here is your Newshub weather. Most tomorrow will have a carbon copy of today's weather, but there are those fronts down south and they'll be pushing north tomorrow, weakening in the west as they approach the North Island in the afternoon. Now, ridge then builds Southland with gale southwesterlies. And as this is the last time standing in front of this very giant weather wall, I want to thank you all for tuning in for every weather photo you've ever sent in, every slow-mo video of lightning and the double rainbow pics. I think, though, this was a very fitting photo that Robin sent through today. The sun setting over Mount Coco with the iconic television mast. End of an era with you, Mike McRoberts, Andrew Gordy, Nikki Styris. It's been a pleasure to work alongside you all.
Thank you, Heather. You're so good. Thank you. Okay, grab the tissues because coming up we're saying haere to TV3 News. After more than 3 decades of telling your stories, it's time to say goodbye. We'll take one final look back. Welcome back. Today's the last day of Newshub, and after 34 years, the last day of 3 producing its own news.
From tomorrow, Stuff will be providing a 6 o'clock bulletin to 3's owners, Warner Brothers Discovery. So let's take a look back at the big stories and events that we've covered and that you've watched.
No journalism gets you closer to a big event than TV news. Even before the journalist gets involved, the images and audio can tell a powerful story on their own that newspapers and radio can't compete with. That's how we started the news on the day 9/11 happened.
This is 3 News. Tonight, an extended 3 News as we bring you coverage of the horrific events in the United States.
Al-Qaeda's attack on New York's Twin Towers killed nearly 3,000 people and literally changed the world. It sparked George Bush's war on terror. And with it, a worldwide backlash against Muslims that had terrible consequences here in Aotearoa 18 years later.
The death toll isn't known, but it's understood it is the worst shooting event in New Zealand's history.
The Christchurch mosque attacks claimed 51 lives and left us all in disbelief.
They are us. The person who has perpetuated this violence against us is not.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's response boosted her international reputation. But the arrival of COVID in 2020 presented her with another huge challenge.
These decisions will place the most significant restrictions on New Zealanders' movements in modern history.
Ardern's hard line was accepted as lives were being saved, but eventually the lockdowns and vaccine mandates raised many questions. And we asked them. And then there was the occupation of Parliament's grounds.
It's utter chaos. It is absolutely terrifying what went down at our Parliament today.
Politics has always played a huge role in our coverage.
Your political career is in tatters. Do you have any regrets?
The ins and outs, the ups and downs, and the going, gone. And then there's election night.
He's a Mr. Miyagi right now. Luck's on, luck's off.
We've been through a lot, New Zealand, since that first news hour back in 1989. Read by Philip Sherry.
Good evening. An Auckland man is in prison tonight.
Often we came together in times of tragedy, like our rolling coverage of the deadly Christchurch earthquakes.
This is the inside of the cathedral. Just go in and have a look at the damage. Unbelievable.
And Kaikoura, capturing the images once seen, can't be forgotten. The eruption at Whakaari White Island that claimed 22 lives.
People beside themselves with worry and with fear, they left in tears.
It is with great sadness that we interrupt our program to tell you that Queen Elizabeth II has passed away.
And when Queen Elizabeth's remarkable reign came to an end, we brought you every moment.
It's where a grateful London and the world say goodbye.
There have been lighter moments too, with the touches of humour from reporters like Bob McNeil, now part of our DNA.
Bob McNeil, 3 National News.
We've travelled the world to bring you the biggest stories, from conflicts.
We're just 10 kilometres from the border, the constant but faint rumble of artillery being fired in this direction.
To natural disasters.
She has a gaping wound in her leg.
We've poured cold water on some extraordinary claims.
You're providing them with false hope.
What do you mean false hope?
Well, the water doesn't do anything.
And waded in as our neighbours, the lucky country, weren't so lucky.
Everyone in Sydney is being asked to stay home tonight because it's becoming too unsafe on the streets.
And through devastating tsunamis, typhoons and hurricanes.
The wind is so strong, and I have to say, it's actually quite scary, and that's mainly due to things flying around.
We've found a way to bring you the news.
Today there is no way you can get a car through here. It's absolutely flooded. The only way through the streets is on an airboat.
Climate change and weather event stories are now commonplace. But no one was ready for the devastation of Cyclone Gabrielle.
What's Cyclone Gabrielle taken from your family?
Everything.
From first using a simple Māori greeting,
Kia ora, good evening.
we now regularly use te reo.
E ngā mātā wakahuri noa tēnā koutou katoa.
And like the language, our coverage has blossomed.
How does it make you feel in your manawa? Your heart sings.
Some of our biggest sports stories have been some of our biggest news stories.
The greatest team of World Rugby now has the trophy to prove it.
Like winning the Rugby World Cup.
How good is this?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Or finally getting back the old mug.
Is that moment you've been dreaming of? Carrying that around?
And we've had some gold medal winning moments reporting on our greatest success.
Oh, okay. I just celebrated with the men's pair.
And in amongst all that passionate support, we were there and loving it. Up the wires.
They're precious.
We brought the big screen to the small screen, celebrating our most creative Kiwis.
Always wanted to... It's quite heavy.
Over the years, there have been changes to our set, to our logo, and to the faces bringing you the news.
Kia ora, good evening. A huge police crackdown on boy races.
But in 34 years, we've never missed a bulletin, and we've loved bringing you the news. Thank you, New Zealand.
Yes, hi, Karen. That's right. I'm here from a car park, a television car park that you can see right behind me.
What's your message to the voters?
Thank you.
have loved making the news. Thank you so much for watching, for having us in your homes. Come on in here, guys. Get in here. Look, there's a
quick welfare check. How are you all getting on?
You guys okay?
Come on.
There's a huge team of people that work behind the scenes to make this happen. Thank you. Look, saying goodbye, it's so hard, isn't it? It's so very hard, but I know that we're going to stay friends long after today.
We certainly are. So we've come to the end, and I'd like to finish with that beautiful whakatauki or Māori proverb. Ia ha te mea nui o te ao. What is the most important thing in the world? He tangata, he tangata, he tangata. It is people, it is people, it is people. Thank you for being our people. We've absolutely loved being yours.